Hello everyone and welcome to another type of video. Okay, so this is not a weekly harvest and this is not a Wyckoff class. This is more of my point, my case for accumulating Bitcoin right now. Okay, so I have posted about this in the Crypto Garden about a month ago. Okay, so as you guys can see here, 25 of July, right? And so I would like to present my case to you and, present the contrarian case, why I could be wrong, and also give you a little bit of a disclaimer at the end. All right, so stay through the whole video. So my first point is that we have been seeing a considerably higher volume here in the Binance pair. Okay, so if you go to Coinbase or some of these exchanges that have smaller volume, you will see that we do not have this much rising volume. However, in Binance, which is the exchange that represents the most amount of volume throughout the world, not just the United States, we have, huge volume, okay? And we can see that very, very clearly in the volume profile, okay? So if I just grab the brush tool here, you'll see that these, little peaks here, this high volume nodes, they don't even compare to the amount of volume that we are seeing right now. Okay, so this is, I would say, at least double the amount of volume in Bitcoin that we had in the past during this downtrend. All right, and this is very, very meaningful. This means that a lot of coins are being transacted, and either this is, the biggest accumulation we will see for a long, long time, or this is the biggest distribution that we'll see for a long, long time, right? We can see that even if I just grab this little script that I wrote just for this video. It's a really simple script. If you want to, you can take a screenshot of the code. It's not even, 30 lines. So you can easily replicate it. I'll post it to my GitHub later, but anyways, it's just a really simple script that shows the amount of volume transacted in US dollars, all right? Because this volume here is the amount of Bitcoin being transacted, and this here, this script that I coded, is the amount of dollars being transacted. So you will see that although we are not reaching, all-time highs in US dollar volume in Binance, we are reaching, levels close to the previous levels. Okay, so the previous levels during this distribution here and the start of this accumulation here, right? And to me, again, that is very significant because it just means that a lot of people are, either accumulating a lot slowly or just a lot of people are panicking, right? And there's a case for both ways. The second part of my argument has to do with the long-term holder realized price. So this is basically the average price at which long-term holders which have held Bitcoin for longer than 140 days, or in the case of Chain Exposed, this website where you can check all of these indicators for free, no account needed, no nothing. 150 days for this site, if I'm not wrong. So you will see that in the past, this has been, a significant zone of support. Okay, so it's not perfect, right? It's never perfect. In fact, I think it is much more powerful if it's not a perfect thing, that it only touches once at the exact bottom and instead it gives you a range. All right, so you can see here that here we had, it at around $295 and the bottom was at $175, which is, quite a bit down. If we, just divide that, so 175 divided by 295, you'll see that's about a 40% drop. So it is about 60% of the previous, the realized price. So it's not perfect, right? And it shouldn't be. So you should take that into consideration. However, it does represent the best possible times to start accumulating. All right. So both here in 2015 and here in 2018, you'll see that it's basically the same thing. And right now we are, just coming close to it and rejecting mostly every time that we go near it. Right. And it's currently at around, let me zoom in just a little bit more just to give you the exact value. It's currently at around 20,470. So that is the average price of the long-term holders, right? Next, my next argument is realized profit and loss bands. Okay, so what these bands represent, these upper bands here, they represent the amount of profit being taken. So if it is more than 100%, between 50% to 100, and so on and so forth. And these bands, these red bands here, they represent the amount of loss being realized. So loss more than 50%, up to 20%, and so on and so forth. So one thing that is very significant about this period here is that we have seen for the first time in this whole cycle here a considerable amount of losses, more than 80% being realized. Okay, so I'm just gonna zoom in again, and losses greater than 50% are these, slightly darker reds here that we have recently seen a lot of. And, in the past, this has also indicated some of the best places to start accumulating, okay? So you can see here in about 2019, it's around this zone here. In 2014, it's also this zone here. And the reason that they are significant together with the long-term holders is that first, if a lot of loss is being realized, then the people that are willing to sell, they, probably already sold. And so it does represent a meaningful, period to accumulate it. If those people are panicking and selling, then it can potentially be a good place to start accumulating. And the long-term holder realized price, it represents a point at which the supply of Bitcoin becomes a little bit more scarce, because if people have been holding for a long time, then it is a lower chance that they will sell their Bitcoin now, right? And so it is a really good zone of support. Again, I don't think of this as a perfect line of support that some people think about moving average and whatnot, but I do think of this as a zone that, a just general zone of support that, is around the zone that you should be accumulating to. All right. And finally, this is not my insight. I haven't coded this. This is from my friend Jay, Daily Crypto Analysis. A while ago, he made this indicator called the DCA Asset Flow Risk Model. Okay, so it's not meant to be used in the Binance chart, so I'm just gonna switch to the BLX, and you'll see that this here, it is basically like his risk metric, all right? But it, takes into consideration the volume and whatnot, how much money is coming into the market to give you a little bit of a risk, idea, okay? So this, as you'll see, is a little bit different from the DCA index, all right? It is different, and it does, call tops sometimes more precisely, sometimes a little bit earlier. But one thing that you'll see that's interesting is that it is currently trending down towards this accumulation zone here, all right? It is trending down toward this zone, all right? And so I think that this is a prime moment for accumulating Bitcoin, not because I think the bottom is in or something like that, okay? In fact, I do think that the bottom is not in and that we will probably go even lower, right? This is my thought, that we'll probably go even lower. However, there is a non-zero chance that we do not go lower. And so I think that DCAing right now, I don't think you should be buying, all at once and, doing TA all that often, right? DCAing is a really powerful tool because it gives you a lot of emotional disconnection, if I may call it that, right? Because it allows you to just not worry about the market, put your money in like once a week or whatever you want to do. It doesn't matter that much how often you do it, as long as you kind of do it consistently, right? So DCAing just gets your mind off the market in tranquility. Peace of mind is a good thing that we do here in the crypto garden. So I think this is a prime spot for accumulating, not buying just a lump sum right now. I wouldn't think that's the point to do it, but just accumulating here. And well, if you do accumulate here, I do think that there is the possibility, and this is again quite a wide range, that we go anywhere, the bottom is anywhere from 1200 to 12,500 to, these bottom here. And so I think if you accumulate anywhere between like 30K and 12K, you're probably set, right? Because if it even revisits 60K, you will do a minimum of 2x, okay? If you accumulate at 12K and it goes to 60K, you do almost 5x. Okay, so it's not a bad investment, but you should take into consideration also that there is a non-trivial chance that we will also go down and go to these 12K zones, right? And why am I saying this? Because as you might have seen in the news, newsletters and whatnot that we have floating around, uh, the United States is basically in a recession. A lot of economic indicators point to that, and it's not something that we can ignore. And this is the contrarian case. It's not something that we cannot ignore. So uh, it's not something that we can ignore. And so during a recession, even the longest term holders, they may be forced to sell. They may be compelled to sell. And so all of these indicators that we have based on past data, it's not, maybe they not do not work as they were intended to, just because the economic climate is really different. And you'll see that in so many of the indicators that on-chain analysts and whatnot have been throwing around for the bull market. So they were saying a liquid supply floor and a bunch of others that have just made new all-time lows and whatnot. So really, I would think that most of the indicators that we have are not set for this economic environment. However, if you do want to accumulate, if you do, think that crypto can be profitable for you, I think this might be a good spot to accumulate. All right. However, do take into consideration that we might go lower and that this is my personal risk appetite. All right. This is my personal risk appetite. I'm just a kid. I'm like a 20-year-old kid. And so if I want to accumulate and I lose everything and Bitcoin suddenly goes to zero, which frankly, it's quite possible, right? We have seen that nothing is too big to fail. We have seen that with Luna, with Celsius, with Voyager, with a lot of these firms that we thought would never fail, right? And so can crypto. Crypto can fail, from night to day, all right? So do take that into consideration. I am just a kid. I can take as much risk as I want, and if I lose all my crypto portfolio, is honestly not that big of a deal for me. So do take that into consideration. All right. And finally, about altcoins, the only thing that I'm doing just to get a little bit more risk in is accumulating also a little bit of Ethereum. But I don't think you should be chasing shitcoins or any of those smaller coins, because they are basically guaranteed to suffer more during a bear market. All right. So I think this was about it. A little bit of a different video from the previous ones that we had before. But if you want access to more of this type of content, get a little bit, talk with me and discuss a little bit of thoughts that you have, post it in the comments. And if you want some closer contact, just sign up to the Crypto Garden at thecryptogarden.io. Thank you and goodbye.